Hi, welcome to ArtC. I'm your host, Bill Horin. Tonight's guest is North Cape May artist Victor Grasso, who is also curating a must-see exhibit next month in Cape May. We'll be back after these commercial messages. Welcome back. This is ArtC. I'm Bill Horin. Today's guest is artist Victor Grasso. Victor is a self-taught painter who works out of his studio in North Cape May. His work has been described by one writer as beautiful, intriguing, and disturbing. Another is dark and whimsical, sensual, and childlike. And I will add, it's never boring. And next month, he adds the title of curator to his impressive resume with the opening of the Brine exhibit at Soma Gallery in Cape May. Welcome to the show, Victor.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
You know, we've just heard other people describe your work. How do you describe your work?
It's hard for me to describe my work because I let the paint talk, so to speak. You know, I mean, it's hard for me to decipher it. But as far as what I do, I'm a contemporary figurative realist. So I'm alive today, painting and making pictures of basically people. You know?
And you're a self-taught artist, but who and what were some of your early influences when you were getting started?
Well, I've always loved comic books and comic book art. They were, and when I was just preteen, teenager, the golden age of comics was really happening, and I loved Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee. But I had grown up going to the Philadelphia Art Museum, and I loved Charlemont's Moorish Chief, and I always loved looking at that painting. And my grandfather was also a wood carver, and my mother painted, so I was always around art. There's probably a lot of the early influences. And then for some reason, Picasso was always around. I think my grandfather liked Picasso, even though he preferred the Renaissance. There was some reason he liked him.
So you did go to the museum when you were younger?
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't go there until I was 28 years old. I remember saying, wow, how long has this been here?
Yeah, no.
We didn't get to do that when we were younger, so it's good that you
Yeah,
had that
well, my
influence.
family was from Philly, my dad's side, so I probably went on a school trip when I was really young.
Right.
But there was always that painting, that Moorish Chief, that just, I could stand there all day.
That was one of my favorites.
It's my absolute favorite in the whole
Oh my
museum,
God.
yeah.
I mean, the way they got the texture and the white on that painting was just amazing.
Well, and then the skin tones, I mean, they're purple and gray. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I love that one. That's funny that it's one of your favorites also. One of the things I'm always a firm believer in, I think Thomas Edison said it's 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I get the feeling that you kind of work that way also. Once you get an idea for a painting, what's the steps after that?
Well, there's many steps in creating a painting, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to produce a lot of paintings, and it's mentally laborious as well. You know, it's like, and so much of that comes from self-doubt. But as far as a process, I mean, it varies. You know, almost every idea starts with a sketchbook, and then it moves into many renderings, and then, you know, into models possibly, or working from life, taking a photograph and working from a photo. You know, could go any different ways until you get the finished product that you're looking for.
I think one of the things that really strikes me with your work is your use of light. You mentioned the lighting in your work. Where did you learn that? I mean, it's just, there's such a richness to the lighting that you use.
Looking at painters that I like throughout history. You know, people have been painting for a long time.
Right.
And, you know, you find something that really speaks to you, and you just figure out how to get what they achieved, you know.
And you touched on the fact that you do, well, at least in the last 5 years, most of your work has involved people or portraits. And you have a handful of models that you use kind of regularly. Your wife, Alicia, would be one of them.
Yep.
Bella, and then even yourself.
Yeah.
What do you look for when you're looking for an artist model?
Well, I think it starts with, for me, it's always been, I never wanted to go out and hire a professional model. I always wanted to use someone that I knew who wasn't a professional model to give some kind of innocence to it. And then beyond that, I have to know somebody, and I have to know them in a way where I get along with them, because they have to understand something that I'm trying to convey, and they have to get what I'm trying to say or what story that I'm trying to tell. And if they don't get it, if they're just a pretty face, it's just not it. That's not what I'm looking for. So it's a lot of the the muse understanding what the point I'm trying to get across. That's the main thing.
And how many models are you using at this point, do you think? I mean, there's only a handful that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, Bella has been working with me since she was 15. I think she's 20 now, or 14, really. And my wife has always been, there for me. And then there's some other friends that I like to use. And then right now I'm currently using Julie Menz, who's a great model as well. And, but I'm kind of actually steering more into making things up, like the piece that I'll be showing in the Bryant exhibit, which isn't in person at all. But
so you do have work in the Bryant exhibit?
I do.
Oh, see, I didn't see your name on the list.
It's on the top. It says curated by me.
Curated by, okay,
Yeah.
but it didn't say work by.
No, it's kind of a surprise throw in there, but
Well, we're going to be touching on that a lot after the next commercial break. But one thing we're going to talk about now a little bit is we did a documentary.
Yes.
With you and Frank Weiss. That was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
And the experience of doing that documentary, you seem to really get into it, and you had a lot of influence. I call it now a docudrama because to me it has elements of a Coen Brothers or a Tim Burton film. There's some, as you said, docu-fiction in it.
Yeah, just pulled that one out of the sky.
But it's amazing to me. I love that piece. I'm very proud of what you guys did with that.
So are we. I mean, it was really exciting. At the time, I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm sure there's things that I'd love to tweak about it. But at the time, it was really important for Frank and I to make a documentary that had narrative in it as well, because it was like, this is a great chance to make a little movie.
And that's what it was.
And so we added that, incorporated that in 3 segments of the documentary, which turned out great. And when people went to see it at the opening, most of the reply was, wow, we got a movie. I thought I was going to get a little featurette on Victor, and we got a movie.
I got to tell you, that was a fun night. Cape May stage.
Yeah.
Nice crowd. Everybody seemed to be very appreciative
Sold out
of
crowd.
it. Sold out crowd.
Yeah.
In fact, we had a second night that even almost filled the place.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost. But I think now we are going to get to see the trailer.
Excellent.
From Grasso, Beyond the Paint.
First time I saw Victor, I was intrigued by his mystery. He was dark, quiet, pretty much a quintessential sensitive bad boy.
He went through Catholic grade school. The nuns even would confront me with the fact that my child's creativity was very much demented.
Let's put it this way, I know he likes to be center of attention.
I can't find anything close to what Victor Grasso brings to the table.
Sometimes it starts with a title, sometimes it starts with an idea, sometimes it starts with a visual that's in my head.
Hey, Victor, how's it going?
What's happening, man? The magic's in the idea and the composition, the blending of the paint and the palette.
There was no question that we were going to be professional artists, but I think knowing what you are at a young age is both a gift and a curse.
Aren't we all as artists just kids? People just telling us that we can't do that when we grow up, and here we are doing it.
Hi, welcome back to ArtC. I'm Bill Horin, and tonight we're with Victor Grasso. And Victor, we just watched the trailer for the Grasso Beyond the Paint documentary, And we got a small glimpse of a coffin, and that was actually very prominent in the documentary. There was an opening scene, there's a scene with you and Bella, and at the end, there's the coffin again. Can you tell us a little bit about the symbolism of the coffin in this documentary?
Yeah, the idea was that if it was kind of my means of travel through the film. So, if it could have been a motorcycle or a cool old car, could have been anything, but we chose a casket. So it was really taking me from place to place throughout the film and through the three narratives. And at the end, there's, with what happened, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but
You can spoil it. We're going to show that little clip anyhow, but we still want people to watch the documentary.
At the end, it's a means of transportation, but it's also kind of somewhat of a burden, because I'm carrying it as well through the film. And at the end, I leave it. So it's and there's something that happens where I have to make a choice, and I make a choice to follow the road less traveled and leave the coffin behind. So it's kind of an allegory for taking the fork in the road that's less traveled and leaving all your stuff behind that's weighing you down.
Well, that's part of it. You were in the one scene. You're actually burying the props from Fable.
Yeah.
Is that your way of wanting to leave that project and move on to a new project, or am I reading too much into that?
Part of art is what the viewer interprets.
Okay.
And that's one of the best parts of art. So it could be, it could not be.
So you're going to let me go with that?
Yeah, run with it.
Okay. This brings us to your latest project.
Yes.
This is something I really want to talk about, is Brine.
Brine.
And it's your first experience at also curating.
Yes.
So give us some background on Brine.
The impetus of Brine was to bring world-class art to Cape May and the county as well as South Jersey, and let everybody in the area, whether they're coming from Philadelphia, New York, but mainly South Jersey, to get a chance to see this amazing, incredible roster of artists and their work, and really just pump up the culture and arts in Cape May, which is already thriving. So that was the impetus. And I went to Janet at Soma Gallery and I said, why don't you let me curate a group show next year? And she said, go for it. So I asked everybody that I wanted to be in it, and they're some of the best artists working today, as well as a handful of regional guys that I think are just phenomenal. And I asked them if they would do it. And they said yes, and it's mind-blowing, and it's just going to be the most special thing for visual arts that's happened in a long time in the area.
So we got to end the suspense here. Who are some of these artists that are going
Well, we
to
have Bo Bartlett, who has very rich ties to the arts in Philadelphia. He was a very close friend of Andrew Wyeth. He made the film Snow Hill about Andrew Wyeth, lived with Andrew for 4 years, and Bo is in the collection of numerous museums all over the country. He's an amazing storyteller, and he's an incredible painter, and he's one of the greatest living painters today. So, and he's a PAFA guy, so he's incredible. He's given us two works, so I'm really excited about that. The next is Shepard Fairey, and I mean, Shepard needs no introduction. He's one of the most famous living artists today. He did the Hope Obama poster. He's a huge activist. He has Obey, his clothing line. He has a design firm. He did the Jameson logo for their last special series bottle. I mean, he's Shepard Fairey. It's amazing. It's a blessing, and I'm really happy to have him. And that was through. We wouldn't have been able to have him without Adam Wallachowicz, who is a Philadelphia artist who makes chandeliers that look like octopus.
Oh, I saw some
and
photos.
He's incredible. And Adam and I have become very close, and I'm really excited to have him in, because Brine is a loosely based sea theme for the exhibition. So it's great to have him. We also have Chris Lewis, who is just an amazing contemporary realist as well, with a total oddball quirk, which I love. So he's great. We have Ali Cavanaugh, who is just an amazing watercolor painter, paints these children that look like they're just moving in wet puddles of watercolor paint. She's phenomenal. Danny Galliotti, who's used to be a Disney animator, and he paints these heavy-duty, like post-war noirish kind of paintings that are just incredible. It's definitely got this 40s feel, this sort of like late 40s feel. Graham Cameron, who makes axes, his stuff is incredible. It's a perfect form and function. They're beautiful. They're works of art.
So wait a minute. Part of the work of art is going to be axes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just paintings. I mean, Shepard doesn't just paint either, and Adam makes the chandeliers.
Right.
So it's a blend of great realist painters, contemporary realist painters, as well as contemporary cutting-edge artists as well, which is also something that's kind of unique in itself, is to blend those two, because it's kind of like old and new blend together. And then we have Chris, Danny, boy, there's a lot. And then the regional guys that we have is we have Stan Spurlack, who
Right.
Stan and I are very close friends, and I always dug Stan's work. He's totally unique. You know, when you're looking at a Stan Spurlack, he's got a lot of power, and he's done this immense piece, which I'm really excited for.
You know what, Victor? We're going to come back to the
Sure,
rest of those
go for
artists. But right now, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back again to ArtC. I'm Bill Horin, and we're here tonight with Victor Grasso. And Victor was just describing the show that he's curating called Brine. And you were talking about some of the local artists, regional artists, that are also going to be involved in this amazing exhibit, by the way.
Yeah, so we spoke about Stan, and then we have Greg Bennett, who I just think is one of the greatest painters that's in the region. A good friend of mine, Steve Gibson, who what he does on metal is incredible. It's like never seen anything like it before. So it's really great to have him in it. And Frank Callip, who's a great painter. I believe New York Academy guy, right?
He's a what?
New York Academy guy.
He won his master's degree there, yeah.
And so it's going.
I gotta tell you, it's gonna be so hard to get into the gallery that night.
It's gonna be really special.
It's gonna be special, and it's gonna be packed. And you know, with Janet, there's always going to be good hors d'oeuvres and plenty to drink, and lots of great art. And some of the artists, the national artists, are actually coming in for the show. From what you told me.
A few are, yeah. Danny's flying in from California. Adam will be down. I'm hoping Chris will come down. Chris is up in North Jersey, and so hopefully some other guys will come too, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure all the local guys will come.
And then, as your friend Jack Wright once said, if it's August in Cape May, there must be a blistering Victor Grasso show at Soma. So after that, you have your own show August.
In August. There's a show in between, and then I have my solo show, Anchorless, which will be debuting in mid-August.
So, and you're not satisfied with just that. You got shows. You told me there's shows.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's
other shows.
I'm in a small works group show in Tucson, Arizona, which is at Baker Hesselden's gallery, and I showed with them last year and the year before in some group shows, and that was really interesting because they gave us they sent 30 artists a block of wood to paint, and it's standing on a stand, and I was seeing some other people what they were doing, and they were posting on social media, and a lot of it was very pictorial, and you could see what it was. So I decided to paint mine like a realistic block of meat.
Okay.
And then I just jammed a meat cleaver in it, and it's become sculptural as well. So that's very cool. And then I'm showing in Europe for the first time in August as well at Art Copenhagen. So in Copenhagen, Denmark, with Gallery Oxholm.
And what kind of work are you going to be showing in Copenhagen? You're going to that show too, right?
Well, we'll see. Things are pretty busy and crazy right now. So
if you can go, man, you got to go.
Yeah, I would like to.
I mean, it'd be a great trip.
I would like to.
Take the wife and the kids and have a good time.
Yeah, well, I'd have to take the kids. My daughter would love to see the Little Mermaid sculpture.
Oh my God.
So,
What kind of work is that going to be there?
That'll be realistic. I just finished a study for one that I'm doing. It's a portrait of a female with lots of fish life and sea life in her head. So it's pretty cool.
I have to say, I think I first met you in 2008. I did a photo of you for Envision magazine, and back then you were doing, it was kind of like a montage type work.
Yeah.
But you don't have what we would describe as a comfort zone. You seem to always want to push the boundaries and move forward. I mean, you've done the black and white with Nemo, you did even the Norman Rockwell-inspired paintings for Exit Zero. So do you feel like you ever reach where you're satisfied and you're not looking for the next new thing, or do you?
No, that would be ridiculous.
Okay.
To find
I
a
was kind of
pinnacle.
hoping you'd say that.
To find a pinnacle for an artist that's just, you might as well stop. You know, there is no pinnacle. You always have to find yourself and something that inspires you. And that brings back to the piece that I'll be exhibiting in the Brine show. I mean, I'm exhibiting with all these great realistic painters, and I've decided to put in a Autobahnish type of watercolor that I did, which is an octopus, but the piece is 6 feet by 5 feet. So it's massive, but it'll be very interesting.
Just remind me again, when is the opening reception for Brine?
Opening reception for Brine is June 4th.
And it's going to be at the Soma Gallery.
Soma Gallery, 6 to 9.
In Cape May from 6 to 9. And so after that, after this season, is there anything else that you're going to tackle that you think is a little different? Anything plans or anything different?
Yeah, I do, because I show it a lot at Parlor Gallery in Asbury Park, and they're really open to me experimenting and doing whatever I want. So I'll definitely take it in different directions, you know.
Victor, I'm glad you could make it tonight. I want to thank you for being here. This has been ArtC. I'm Bill Horin. Thanks for watching.